Hello, this is Ross Bliley from the podcast Pigskin Tales. This podcast is sponsored by Sterling Soap Company. With products sold throughout 41 locations around the globe, Sterling Soap Company has a unique assortment of products to choose from for your loved one for the holidays. Handmade artisan soaps created by Roderick and Amanda Lovin since 2012, these products are affordable and provide great value. Act now and save on your shipping costs. If you purchase $75 or more, your shipping cost is free in the United States. Shop now online at sterlingsoap.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday's Sports on the Sports History Network. Last week, we talked a little history about the Philadelphia Phillies, and we went over the years 1976, 77, 78, and 79. So today, we're going to talk about the 1980 Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies got off to a slow start in 1980. By the end of May, they weren't impressing anyone with a 23-18 record. By the All-Star break, the Phillies appeared to be a slightly above average team with a 41-35 record. Fortunately for them, no other team in their division was performing exceptionally well either. Mike Schmidt, Pete Rose, and Steve Carlton were the only Phillies selected for the All-Star team. By the end of August, the Phillies stood at 68-60, just a half a game out of first place. However, they won 16 of their next 24 games, taking a half-game lead over the Montreal Expos. With only 10 games remaining, 6 of which were against the Expos, the Phillies needed to continue their winning streak. The Phillies and Expos kicked off a 3-game series on September 26th, with Montreal taking 2 of 3 to reclaim their half-game lead. Next for the Phillies was a 4-game series against the Chicago Cubs. They swept the Cubs, and it all came down to the final 3 games against Montreal. The two teams were tied for first place with identical 89-70 records. Philadelphia won the series 2-1. Mike Schmidt had a memorable season, leading Major League Baseball with 48 home runs and topping the National League with 121 RBIs. He also achieved a solid batting average of .286 and won the National League MVP award. Starting right fielder Bake McBride posted a .309 average, while backup catcher Keith Moreland batted .314. And backup outfielder Lonnie Smith hit .339. Pitcher Steve Carlton enjoyed another impressive season with a 2.34 ERA and a 24-9 record, earning his 3rd Cy Young Award. Tug McGraw rebounded from his lackluster 1979 season by shutting down opponents with an exceptional 1.46 ERA. The Phillies would now play the Houston Astros in the National League Championship Series. In Game 1, Steve Carlton pitched 7 complete innings and allowed only 1 run. Tug McGraw pitched the final 2 innings without allowing any runs. Greg Luzinski had a 2-run blast in the 6th inning, and Philadelphia won Game 1 3-1. The home run by Luzinski turned out to be the only one of the series. Game 2 was a back-and-forth battle that went into extra innings. In the 10th inning, with the game tied 3-3, Houston scored 4 runs, while Philadelphia could only manage 1. The Astros' victory tied the series 1-1. Game 3 was a pitcher's duel, going into the 11th inning, with neither team scoring. The Astros finally triumphed 1-0, leaving Phillies fans bracing for yet another postseason disappointment. Game 4 was another back-and-forth battle filled with controversy, as managers and players passionately contested the umpires' decisions. It was the 3rd consecutive game to go into extra innings. But this time, the Phillies emerged victorious, winning 5-3. Game 5 was far from a pitcher's duel, as the two teams combined for 27 hits. It didn't look promising for the Phillies, who trailed 5-2 after 7 complete innings, with Nolan Ryan on the mound for the Astros. However, the Phillies weren't ready to go down without a fight. They scored 5 runs in the top of the 8th inning to take a 7-5 lead. The Astros responded immediately with 2 runs of their own in the bottom of the 8th. Neither team scored in the 9th inning, so once again, these two determined teams would battle it out in extra innings. In the top of the 10th, a double by Dell Unser was followed by a double from Gary Maddox, giving Philadelphia an 8-7 lead. In the bottom of the 10th, reliever Dick Ruthven retired the Astros in order, and the Phillies were headed to their first World Series since 1950. It was arguably the most fiercely contested championship series ever, and some questioned whether the Phillies would have anything left in the tank for the World Series. The Phillies' opponent would be the Kansas City Royals, and the two teams had a lot in common. The Royals, like the Phillies, had struggled to reach the World Series, losing the American League Championship Series 3 years in a row to the Yankees, 1976, 77, and 78, before finally beating them in 1980. Okay, so that will conclude our podcast for this week. Join me again next week, and we will talk about the 1980 World Series between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Kansas City Royals. Till then, thank you, and God bless.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. The heel gets the heat. The babyface gets the cheers. But the jobber gets, well, the job done. And speaking of jobbers, Barry Horowitz wasn't there to win titles. He was there to build them. By selling every move, every storyline, and every new star that stepped into the ring. He was the secret sauce. And now, he's the headline in his new book titled Wrestling is My Gimmick, My Life on the Wrong Side of the 3 Count. This memoir is a deep dive into wrestling's most underrated position and the man who made it an art form. Whether you're a fan of wrestling, a fan of sports history, or just love a great story, this book is for you. Again, that's Wrestling is My Gimmick by Barry Horowitz. Grab your copy today before the count strikes 3.